Today I'm going to be talking about the iPad Air 4, which I consider to be a moment in time piece of tech. The iPad Air 4, released from Apple a few years ago, was an exceptional value proposition. It actually stood to be a laptop replacement, I think for the first time ever in the iPad lineup. With it, you got features like the Magic Keyboard, the Apple Pencil, which turned this small little tablet into a true productivity powerhouse. So let's talk about what Apple did to make this thing almost too good for the money, made the value proposition not really worth buying the iPad Pro at the time. This tablet's a great example of tech that you don't have to spend an exorbitant amount of money on to get a great value and something that's really useful that I still use to this day. This is still a very important piece of my tech kit, and I still use it often. Every once in a while, companies make a tech product in its category that's a must-buy. For me, that was the iPad Air 4. It's probably not true today, but looking back, before the M1 MacBook Air series was announced, this iPad Air 4 was in fact a laptop replacement for me. I was just exiting grad school and had a Windows laptop that was a few years old that was starting to be extremely slow. Battery life was terrible. So I purchased the iPad Air 4 to be a productivity device. Its primary use was to help me out with learning new things, managing tasks, and managing projects around the house. I use this iPad Air primarily as a productivity device. I spent almost every day for a year starting my day browsing the iPad Air with the Magic Keyboard while I sat and ate breakfast. Everything from news to the stock market to what was going on with my task list and calendar for the day. I worked off of the iPad for a very long time before actually purchasing the M1 MacBook Air. The three things that made this most valuable to me were, number one, the Magic Keyboard. The Magic Keyboard is a little bit of an expensive accessory for the iPad Air, but it's worth every penny in my opinion. It sort of does transform the iPad into more of a laptop replacement. Number two is the Apple Pencil. Taking handwritten notes is still something I like to do from time to time, and I'll occasionally journal in the iPad as well. And the Apple Pencil experience is next level. The support is great, not only with Apple apps like Apple Notes and now Freeform, but I was using OneNote a lot at the time to take notes, and the Apple Pencil support is fantastic in OneNote on the iPad Air 4. And number three is how travel friendly this device is. It's thin, it's lightweight, it's compact, it's a lot smaller footprint wise than a MacBook Air, and it packs so much power in that unless you are doing pro level workflows, video editing, photo editing, then you don't really need to take another computer with you. Now there's a couple downsides to the iPad Air 4. I think the first one is storage starting out at 64 gigabytes. That's pretty criminal that they are allowed to sell a tablet with 64 gigabytes as the base level storage. Now that does help drive cost down. But the second downside is the cost. So even getting a base model like I have with 64 gigs of storage here, when you add in the Magic Keyboard and the Apple Pencil, you definitely start to encroach on the price category of a MacBook Air. One thing the iPad has that the MacBook does not is the touch interface. And I actually really like iPad OS. I like being able to use the Magic Keyboard and trackpad as more of a mouse and keyboard combo, but then being able to tap on the screen to select things in whatever app you're in, and it gives you the freedom of a touch interface, like I said. Sometimes using a MacBook, I will try to tap the screen and I just wish macOS had touch capability at this point. That's probably something that Apple won't add. Product separation is one of their strong points, and the iPad is definitely a unique experience in the Apple lineup. even though they try to market it as a laptop replacement. Now that we're in 2023 though, I definitely wouldn't go recommend anybody to pick up an iPad Air 4 at this point. The iPad Pro lineup with the M series chips now has Final Cut Pro and Logic Pro, and I think the Pro lineup of iPads is really starting to move towards just that, an actual Pro lineup. So for once, the iPads are actually starting to get first-party Apple apps that could be used in a Pro workflow, whereas an iPad Air 4 to me is still, or even the current gen iPad Air, more of a prosumer device. So yes, it has a lot of power, yes, it can do a lot of things, it still has Magic Keyboard support, it still has Apple Pencil support, but it's not quite to the level of power of an M1 chip. They have the M1 chip. Anyways, even the current series of iPad Airs is still more of a multimedia device, a small travel-friendly tablet. It's not necessarily marketed to the Pro level, despite still having M chips and plenty of power inside the machine. So, the iPad Air 4, still a staple in my lineup of productivity devices. I still use it to do things like task management, note management, handwriting notes, annotating notes with the Apple Pencil, and it travels everywhere with me. It's so small and light and compact that it doesn't take up enough space for me to leave it at home. These moment-in-time tech products that are must-buys are few and far between. So keep your eyes out. As I use things and think about them in this manner, I'll let you know. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.